My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Hey folks, welcome back. Today our special guest is zooming in from Orange County, California. Bethany LaFlam is a very, very interesting real estate entrepreneur because she's not just a real estate investor. She does do that. She's an active investor in boutique hotels and luxury properties. She's also a lawyer who does a lot of work in securities. So she helps us stay compliant with the Securities and Exchange Commission. And she's an author, and she's all about, accessing other people's resources, other people's everything is what she calls it. So Bethany, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot. You got a lot going on there, lady. So let's just kind of zoom out. Give us a snapshot of what does business and real estate investing look like for you right now, the middle of 2025?
Yeah, my space really is luxury resorts. We acquired a boutique hotel in Belize just under 2 years ago. We're getting ready to sell that into a luxury fund that we're creating so we can go buy more luxury properties globally. So my dream really was to retire. I'll probably never retire. To retire by hosting in-person retreats, teaching people how to create wealth and enjoy their lives without burnout at beautiful properties that I own.
Nice.
So we decided.
I've heard of people doing that with like their own little Airbnbs in different places. You're taking that to the next level.
Yes, I am. I don't a lot of things, right? I don't want to get bored.
Okay. All right. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Belize, beautiful country. I lived for 10 years in Costa Rica myself, so I'm familiar with kind of that neck of the woods, that's for sure. Okay, and then on the lawyer side of things, tell us a little bit about what you do there.
What I always tell people is I help real estate investors practice safe sec. So if you're going to leverage OPM, other people's money, then I make sure that you do it legally and compliantly and safely. And so I tell people you should only engage in SEC when you're ready and with someone that you trust, and you should always use protection. And we're the protector.
I love that. You're one of the few lawyers I met that's got a really good.
Got to be fun, right? Or else,
yeah, well, it's fun and a good twist. I mean, there a lot of lawyers, you got overschooled with legal jargon and mumbo jumbo. So practicing safe sec is beautiful. Okay, so that's been your focus for how long you've been in that side of things?
On the real estate side, only about 8 or 9 years. I've been practicing law for 25 years and did corporate law, mergers and acquisitions, and I represented companies in like venture and tech and operating companies for years. And when I got into real estate, it was like so eye-opening because I thought, oh, I don't actually hate the law. I just hated what I was doing before because this.
And this relates to what you want to do. So it's got to.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, very cool. And then you're also an author. So tell us a little bit about your book because I love the name and the title of it.
Well, thank you. Yes, I wrote a book called The Power of OPE. It's creating exponential wealth by leveraging other people's everything. I have made a living and built a multi-million-dollar law firm and helping people leverage OPM. But what I realize is that to have an extraordinary life that's not full of burnout, it takes a lot more than just other people's money. There's a lot of other resources from other people that we can leverage. And what that does is it allows us to stay in our lane. And our lane is really just, what am I amazing at and what lights me up? Both, right? Mm-hmm. And how can I spend as much time as possible doing just that and let everybody else, other people, do everything else?
So I'm assuming that that's kind of what the epiphany you came to at some point. You've alluded to it. You were doing law for quite some time and it kind of was sucky. And then you discovered real estate investing and securities law. And that kind of did that for you. So what does leveraging other people's everything look like for Bethany?
Well, for me, it was first giving myself permission to get help and to let other people do stuff. I mean, we're entrepreneurs, right? And so the entrepreneurs, what we typically do is we feel like we have to do everything ourselves because we can, right?
And we're going to do it better than anybody else can anyhow, right?
That's right. And one of my favorite quotes is from a different book by Dan Martell, who wrote Buy Back Your Time.
Mm.
And his quote is one of my favorite quotes ever, which is 80% done by someone else is 100% freaking awesome. Because
So what was like the first thing you had to offside or delegate that really kind of stood out for you there?
actually delivering the legal work, the
Mm.
PPMs and the private placements. Am I really good at it? Yeah, I sure am. I don't love
Mhm.
it. It's
Yeah.
it's not what I want to spend my time doing. I want to talk strategy with you. I want to hear about your goals. How can I help you use other people's money to create the next big thing in your life? I'm writing documents is not my thing, so I had
Mhm.
to train a team that would do it as well as I do. And now I have a team that's better than I am.
Nice. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's kind of delegation. What are some other examples of other people's everything besides money?
Other people's talents, other people's expertise. For example, I wasn't good, I'm sorry, I am good at, but didn't love doing the document. So I found someone's expertise to do that. Other people's talents and time, other people's
Mhm.
teams, right? I am not the best at hiring. Even though I have wrote a whole book about how to find all these other people, I'm not the best at it. I had to get really good at it one time. And now she handles finding us all the people that we need for our team. And so it's really just figuring out what I should be doing that only I can be doing,
Mhm.
and then letting go. I think that's
There's a little who not how
a
idea.
lot of that. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a life-changing book for me, actually.
Yeah, that's a wonder. Okay. Very, very cool. So rewinding a little bit to, you know, practicing safe sec. Who do you typically work with? Like who's your ideal, everybody calls it avatar for a client these days in the real estate space?
In the real estate space through our law firm, it's really mom and pop operators. So people who are investing actively in real estate and leveraging passive investors to grow their portfolio.
So like newer syndicator type folks, is that kind of the sweet
We
spot?
do represent a lot of the big influencers in the real estate space. Brandon Turner, Justin Waller, Tarek Al Moussa. We represent the big ones. So it's really but people who are looking to either build or scale a real estate portfolio by getting passive investors. But it's the passive investor side. We don't deal with public companies. We're not REITs, things like
Mhm.
that. We do have a lot of first timers as well, but just anybody who's looking to scale one way or another with other people's money.
So you're on the compliance side of things, that's for sure. These days, the last couple of years have been absolutely brutal for a lot of people, especially in the multifamily space, and raising capital has become very, very challenging for a lot of folks. What are you seeing some of your clients doing that's really smart when it comes to raising private capital these days in a compliant fashion?
Yeah, well, one is that just to be compliant, right? There are a lot of people, I try to do a lot of education because a
Mhm.
lot of people just don't know what they don't know, right? And a lot of lawyers dabble in securities that really shouldn't.
Mhm.
And so we're seeing a lot of bad advice out there. So now we're trying to educate people, and really it's just asking questions and trying to be compliant, recognizing when you're not is probably the smartest thing. But really, I think the smartest operators, well, a lot of them in multifamily took a little bit of a pause after,
Yeah.
is remembering that the whole reason that we're allowed to raise capital without being broker dealers is to operate a business. And so it's people who are really trying to be good operators. Raising
Mhm.
the capital is just the beginning. Then the real work starts from there. And I think that a lot of people got it twisted in 2021 when
Mhm.
you could trip over a property and make money and look like a brilliant, investor. It was all, everybody was talking about how sexy it was to acquire and to raise capital.
Yeah.
And so the best operators are, in fact, operators.
Okay, so then what are your thoughts about, a lot of people do this co-GP thing where they got the operator and then they've got a whole bunch of capital raisers as co-GPs. What are your thoughts about that and where do you see people kind of crossing the line with that part of the process?
I think kind of what you're alluding to when I almost could, see the air quotes around co-GPs. If they're just capital raisers and they're not true partners, they're not supposed to be out raising money for a fee. You have to be a licensed broker dealer to do that. And I see a lot of people do it. If you have, multiple people who don't really have a real job other than, let's say, investor relations or capital raising,
Yeah.
who are a target for the SEC. And the problem that I see, one is everybody does it, right? I hear students come to me all the time and they're like, well, I've been approached by 5 people just in my network that they'd give me 10% if I could go raise 500,000. Are you telling me I can't do that? And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm telling you. Telling
Which
you
is exactly what they don't want to hear.
Right. Yeah. And I always tell people like my job isn't to tell you what you can't do. My job is to tell you how to do what you want to do. The
Yeah.
flip side is that is true, but sometimes when I'm telling you how to do it, you don't want to do it because it's hard. Right.
Mm.
And so the problem with that is that you can't just have people who are capital raisers. Everybody who's on your team has to have substantial duties. That's out of the SEC's mouth, not mine. Substantial duties to be considered a true partner. Otherwise, you need to be a broker dealer to be compensated to raise capital. Again, the only reason any of us is allowed to raise capital without being a licensed broker dealer is to operate our own business. So it's got to be our business.
Operational. Yeah. And you got to be doing some part of the operations.
Right.
Okay, so that is good to know. What are some of the other big dumb mistakes you're seeing people making over and over again that just make you want to pull your hair out?
Well, one is they look me straight in the face and they tell me they understand they can't pay capital raisers, and then they're like, okay, but I'm just going to give them 10%. Okay, well, that's what we just said. The other part of it is posting things on social media that are either making promises or these big claims without getting that reviewed by counsel first. Social media can be really a dangerous place when you're selling securities because the SEC cares about the offer of securities as well as the sale. So even if people didn't give you the money, you could still be on the hook for what you said to try to attract people in through social media marketing. And a lot of people are out there. Social media is a great way to market a business. It's a great way to make money. It's also a great way to get yourself in trouble if you're not paying attention to compliance. And it's not exciting or fun, but it's got to be done. And I really cringe when I see anything like guaranteed or promised or recession.
Assured. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We're going to, triple your money in 3 years or, whatever. I get it at sales and a lot of the marketing companies out there, unfortunately, aren't trained by us or by a securities lawyer, and their job is to market. And they don't know what rules are around people selling securities. And so I see a lot of ads or Facebook posts or Instagram posts that it just make me cringe that, ugh, you shouldn't say that. Yeah.
They get away with it till they don't, right?
That's right. Well, I call it the good deal defense. If you're making people money, then probably no one's going to say anything. But the minute they lose money, there's an attorney trying to figure out what you might have done wrong.
Mm. There's a few of those folks floating around these days, that's for sure.
Um,
So you were saying that you could even get in trouble for posting stuff even if nobody invests with you. What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean is, even if the people, if not everybody invests with you, I mean, obviously, if no one invests with you, then the SEC, you haven't lost anybody's money, and the SEC go, well, don't do that again. But
Yeah.
like you didn't take anybody's money, so what are they really going to do, right? They could tell you don't raise money, I guess, possibly fine you. But if you haven't lost anyone's money, it's probably not going to come to pass. What I mean is you could be saying things out into the world that is offensive to the SEC, even if those particular people didn't invest with you.
Mm.
Right. So one of the examples is if you are out advertising in the world, you really should only be advertising to accredited investors.
Right.
So then you should be careful about when you're talking to people who aren't accredited, for example. Or if you take non-accredited investors, then you better not be out posting things, publicly in the world. The concern that I have there a lot of times is people are like, you're accredited, right? Because
Wink,
I
wink, nudge,
brought you
nudge.
in, and you actually have to take reasonable steps to go verify that they are in fact accredited. So, I just mean it's a landmine when you're saying things out publicly. You better have everything buttoned up in the back end. Uh,
Yeah.
you said things you probably shouldn't have.
Makes a lot of sense. So what do you, and especially for the smaller operators that are just kind of getting started with raising capital, you know, to being compliant, but at the same time being real world, what do you kind of recommend that they do? Because the beautiful thing is, you're not just a lawyer; you're an active real estate investor, and you're raising capital, so you understand it. I think from a marketing perspective, not just a legal compliance perspective. So, what are some tips you would give people? Obviously, get proper legal counsel and get everything reviewed, but just big broad strokes. What is safe to do, yet is still going to be appealing and not just kind of plain vanilla nothingness out there that you can do to raise capital.
Well, the first part is, and I'll play mindset coach for her a little bit, is to understand that There is success to be had when you play within the guardrails that we set up for you within the rules. Plenty of people do it. What you have to remember is that if you're raising capital for a really good deal, you're providing an opportunity to people. You're not begging. If some people, when it's their first deal, it's like, oh my God, I'm begging you to give me money. That's not true.
Mm-hmm.
They're not giving you money. They're investing in an opportunity to create more wealth for themselves without having to do the work.
Yeah.
You can shift the mindset a little bit to I'm offering an opportunity, and that opportunity is only good if it can afford compliance. Because if being compliant means the deal doesn't pencil, then it's not a good deal, right? And you're
Yeah.
providing a good opportunity to people. I think it's actually really just a mindset shift, honestly. So you're
Okay.
not begging for money, you're offering an opportunity.
Yeah. So it's basically what you're saying about being compliant is, not doing the over the top promises and putting out percentage guarantees and all this kind of stuff. It's getting the word out about your opportunity, your deal, without hyping it up like crazy and playing within the rules.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if it's a
Yeah.
good deal, you don't have to lie about it.
Hmm.
It's a good deal. There
Yeah.
are good deals out there even now.
Yeah, exactly. There always are. Well,
Mhm.
that's fantastic, Bethany. So yeah, very, very interesting stuff. The book, is this designed specifically for real estate investors, or is it kind of something that works well for everybody?
It is really designed for any entrepreneur who's looking to create or grow wealth.
Hmm.
Any entrepreneur at all. I wasn't always in real estate either, and the principles apply regardless of industry.
Perfect. If people want to get a copy of your book, where can they go for that? Is it on Amazon?
Amazon's easiest probably. It's everywhere
Mhm.
where books are sold, Barnes and Noble, but Amazon's fast. So
Fantastic, Bethany. Now, if people want to connect with you and find out more about you and your services, and especially the legal side of things, where can they go? Where should they go?
best place is Instagram at Bethany_LaFlam. All my links are there.
Perfect. Bethany, thanks so much for being on the show. This has been fun.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody, take care, and we will see you on the next one. Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewsyou.com.